Hi, I know it's been forever. I have kind of taken a break from YouTube things and hobby related stuff because my life is just so chaotic. But that doesn't mean that I've like foregone my collection or anything. Most of it's all right here. We took it out of my office and converted my office to a nursery because we're adding another little one, so that'll be 3. But I was looking at my collection and I got the idea of why don't we jump on a really dead trend? And that would be tier lists. As you can see, I've got some bots right down here. And these are all bots from my collection. Let me see if I can scoot it over just a smidge for you. There we go. All right. These are all bots that are currently on my shelves in my collection, whether they're on my desk, on my shelf right here next to me, or they're downstairs on some display shelves. Like I have stuff that I display. A lot of it is still in storage, but I thought, why not do a tier list on the stuff that I have out right now and kind of do a whole tier list of my collection, because I haven't really seen many people do that. So I thought this would be a whole lot of fun. I counted how many I have out. I have 72 bots on display right now. I know it's not a whole lot to most people, but it's a lot in a crowded house. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go through and kind of tier list. You can see I have top shelf, high shelf, middle shelf, low shelf, and bottom shelf. We might as well jump right into it. So starting off the list, we have Animated Deluxe Prime. He's fairly new to the collection. He is honestly one of my favorite fiddle toys right now. He's actually standing over there with Classics Blue Streak right now, who I'm just now realizing I forgot to put on this list, but it's fine, whatever. I'm gonna put him in top shelf. He is one of my favorite fiddle toys right now. It's a breeze to transform. I forgot how much fun animated toys are. I don't have a whole lot. I think the only one I had up until this point was Activator's Ratchet, who has been in storage forever. So yeah, top shelf material with animated. And this list is just keeps on getting stronger because now we have Armada Unicron. Armada Unicron was one of the first bots that I got when I got back into collecting, and he is the cause of my whole Unicron shrine on my top shelf right now. Don't have the HasLab one. We'll never own the HasLab one, but I have the Armada one, and he's the one that I had as a kid too. I would say he's top shelf, but the problem with Unicron is the way that I have him displayed right now. He's behind, or kind of like above, Galvatron and his crew. I've got Battle Trap up there. I've got Thrust up there, and Menasors up there because that's the only place that he fits. He's behind all of his heralds, like overseeing them. So he's kind of a pain to like take off the shelf and transform, and he's fun to transform, but he's not really that fidget toy that Optimus Prime is. So as good as he is, I think I'm going to put him on high shelf, because although I have nothing but love for this toy, he's harder to mess with and it's harder to take him off the shelf than it is Animated Prime. Ectotron. My Ectotron is incomplete. I got him at a reusable sale that we had maybe last year, and he's missing the proton pack and his gun. So basically he's missing like the whole contraption on top of the Ghostbusters car, but he still transforms. You literally can't see it because it's just on his back, and I've given him the Buzzsaw blade that came with like Power of the Prime's Wreck-Gar, or Classics Wreck-Gar. But he stands pretty good with my other crossover boys. I like him. His legs are a little iffy, just because they don't tab in super well. Actually, I don't know if they tab in at all. But his alt mode is beautiful. I'm going to put him on high shelf, lower than Unicron because he is incomplete, but I really like messing with him. And here we have Expanse, I think is his name. The X-Men crossover into the X-Men jet. Out of the 3 crossover figures that I have, he is easily the weakest of the 3. He's not fun to transform. His little winglets on his ankles constantly fall off. The little Wolverine and Sabretooth were kind of nothing, trash. And you can transform him differently so that the platforms that above his head, you can flip them down somewhat so they're like shoulder pads. So I guess that's neat, but like, I don't know. And his weapons are kind of neat too, but he's not fun to transform. He feels rickety. We're gonna put him on low shelf. Not that I don't like him, he's just not one of the greats. Speaking of the greats, we have Gigawatt. Gigawatt is fantastic. The Sideswipe mold is fantastic. I'm so happy that they're finally doing an Armada Wheeljack out of this mold. No, oh, sorry. They're doing a Shattered Glass Sideswipe who will definitely 100% be an Armada Wheeljack because he even has like the baton weapons. I really dig this mold. I have this mold, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. You can tell I really like him. And transformation is smooth, fun, simple. I think he's going to go right up there with Prime. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put Gigawatt in front of Prime. Simply because I like the DeLorean alt mode. And you can change the alt mode from just the regular DeLorean to the flying DeLorean with the wings and the wheels down. So extra play feature, just fantastic. And for being the first crossover figure that they did in this current era of crossovers, he's fantastic. I'm so excited for that pizza van from Stranger Things. It just looks like a whole lot of fun. Okay, so here's where we get into a little bit of iffy territory. So Betatron. This configuration picture that I have is Scattershot and then the 4 Autobots that usually go with Optimus Prime. My Betatron has 3 of the 4 G2 aerial bots and then a regular skydive for one of his arms. So Betatron is like one of those things where he doesn't have a dedicated team. He's just more or less his own thing. And I use him to kind of hold the rest of my deluxe limbs. I love the Combiner Wars stuff. I have 2 kind of cobbled together combiners. I have couple more deluxes that I could probably put on a torso, but I need more limb bots because like those are my favorite. But this Betatron is counting for all of the bots that I have in my version of Betatron. So I'm not going to take them apart and be like, oh, I think G2 Air Raid is better than G2 Firefly or like whatever. So Betatron is his own thing. Right now, pretty middle shelf, honestly. Scattershot himself isn't great, and all the aerial bot limbs that I have on him, pretty plain. Combiner Wars Shockwave, Legends class. This one I haven't messed with in a while because he is currently in the wedding display. Like I have pictures of my wife and I when we got married and stuff like that. Because he and Titan's Return Blaster were the 2 figures that my wife bought for me when we first started going out and she first found out that I liked Transformers. So they've always kind of had that special bond. But Shockwave, he's fun to transform. He's a gift from my wife. Very special memories. So he's going to go in top shelf as well. Cybertron Hotshot. I really like this toy, and the reason I own this toy is specifically because of Joe Powell from Crosshairs Production when he released his Target Alpha Trion short film, and his character of Excellion really made me like that toy a whole lot more than I initially did. And then after I picked it up, I was like, oh yeah, this toy is really fun. He's easy to play with. His Cyberkey gimmick is kind of dumb. It just makes the fins pop out of his back, but he's probably going to go on high shelf just for how funny he is. Ironhide was a gift from my youngest brother when we moved out of state. Found it for me in a Goodwill complete. The transformation's a little finicky, but the sentimental reason is why he's currently living in the family display that is right underneath the wedding display. I'm going to put him in high shelf. Actually, let's move Hotshot right there. I think this is pretty good. That's where he belongs. He's just really fun to transform. This is Dark of the Moon, the Dark of the Moon version with the mech tech in the G1 deco. Earthspark Twitch is really fun. Probably my favorite deluxe from Earthspark that I own, and I'm hoping to get Thrash here pretty soon. Transformation doesn't tab in super well. Like, it flows really well, just the alt mode doesn't tab together real well, but she displays really great. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to put her right there. I think I'm gonna move Ectotron down. There we go. That looks about right. Commander Class Skylynx. The problem is he just takes up way too much goddamn space. I have him in between my 2 combiners right now, and he just takes up a ton of room. Mine also doesn't latch together very well. When I go to put the bird rocket ship on top of the Lynx carrier, it just doesn't sit really well. And his wings are super loose. He's great, and I love him, but I think I would rather mess with my combiners rather than Skylynx. Earthrise Smokescreen. I love this Datsun mold. I'm so mad that 2 of the versions of this that I wanted were exclusives, which seems to be a trend with all of my favorite characters, which is bizarre. But Smokescreen is a very beautiful deco, and I love the mold a whole lot. I just think that there's other versions of this mold that I prefer. I like messing with the mold. I would prefer to have Barricade. There's another couple versions on that I have between Silver Streak and Blue Streak. There you can see Silver Streak down here, and we'll get to him in a little bit. Probably gonna put him top of the middle shelf for right now. That's where he's gonna go. I don't know why this image did this. It's all blown out of proportion, but this is Fans Project Kakaryu, the top torso half of their Monstructor combiner. I don't need to own the rest. Kakaryu is my favorite of Monstructor's guys. If you've watched Victory, you know that he's like super innocent and sweet and just is kind of there. I really like this toy. I really like Kakaryu. He's really fun to mess with. The transformation is really cool too. The way he like kind of shrinks down and squats into this little tiny monster thing. He's gonna go bottom of the top shelf. Fans Project Parallax Blue Armor. It's just a blue version of their Power Master Prime. The problem is the armor on my copy doesn't sit right, and it's very rickety. I'm gonna put him bottom of the low shelf underneath Expanse, only because with Expanse I don't have to like bust out tools to transform him, whereas with Parallax Blue Armor I kind of do. G1 Galvatron. This is a recent purchase for me. He is missing his cannon. I have most of the toy, so it counts. A lot simpler than I thought he would be, but he is a whole lot of fun and he's big. I have a lot of the G1 leaders, and I think he's probably my least favorite. Although he is very big and very tall, he's just the one that I get the least amount of enjoyment out of. Top of the low shelf. He's not bad. I just don't get that much enjoyment out of messing with him when compared to stuff to like my Optimus Prime, Star Saber, Jinrai, Ultra Magnus. Like I get the least amount of fun out of Galvatron. Moving on to one of the smallest in my collection, Micromaster Greaser. He sits right underneath my computer with Stakeout, and they live in car mode because that's the easiest way to display them because they don't really want to stand up well. I like Stakeout more. He's just so easy to like pick up and fiddle with and mess with. I'm putting him above Smokescreen simply because it's just easier to mess with him and play with him and fidget with him than it is the Datsun mold. He makes for a great desk toy. Alright, I am missing Scalor, is right, but I have all of the pieces, arms and feet and combiner bits, and he just makes up the gun. So I'm judging this all as G1 Piranacon. Sorry, my chair doesn't really lock into place very well, so you've probably seen me just kind of like shrinking throughout this whole video, I just realized. As far as G1 combiners go, he's my favorite just because of how crazy and outlandish he is. And he's fun to like take apart. And Sea-Wing is like one of my favorite combiner bots, like Scramble City bots, just because he was one of my first. Do I like him more than... I think I like him more than Kakaryu. I'm going to leave him here for now. I'm going to leave him on high shelf, and if I change my mind later, I'll go through and rearrange some stuff. Power Master Optimus Prime. Mine is broken. I got him in a trade with somebody local, and I went to go transform it into trailer mode for the second or third time, and the ratchets were so stiff that one of the legs just cracked right on the plastic underneath the ratchet. So I used PVC glue and I glued him back together, and now I'm never touching him again. I do need to get the rest of his bits, and I need to get God Bomber for him, but he's alright. Because I can never touch him again, that bumps him down a lot. I think initially he would be on high shelf just because I really like Jinrai, but middle shelf is probably where... Actually, you know what? I can't mess with him at all, so he's going to go bottom of the middle. G1 Stepper, or Ricochet, rather. This was a G1 holy grail of mine that I wanted for a while. I got the commemorative series one. He doesn't have his rocket launcher or his gun, but I don't care. It's Ricochet. He's one of my favorites. I never had the Jazz mold before, so he is immediately going to top shelf. I love that toy so much. G1 Stakeout, as I said, here on my desk, is my favorite Micromaster just because of how simple he is. And I really liked the comics that he was in for a while when he fought against... I don't remember the group's name, but it was the group of Beast Wars characters that rode Tidal Wave, and Tidal Wave was like a whale. Going to high shelf, probably... Well, he's above Ectotron, I think. And he's above Twitch. Uh, here we go. Like, I don't even have to say anything. G1 Star Saber was my first Holy Grail. Masterpiece Star Saber is my second Holy Grail. G1 Ricochet was my third Holy Grail. So, obviously the first one's gonna go before the third. I love having a G1 Star Saber. I am missing the Brainmaster, and I am missing the nose cone, and I guess the blade too, and gun, but I could care less about the gun. The blade and the nose cone and the Brainmaster are kind of the more important ones. But with Star Saber, because he has the helmet that flips over, you would never know that he's missing the little Brainmaster face. So, yeah, top shelf, clearly. He was my best bot of last year. I can't really put him anywhere else. And then G2 Sea Spray. You all know my love for Sea Spray. G2 Sea Spray was my first Transformer that I got from a flea market, and I thought I broke him when I was transforming him. And that was when I found out that he turned into a robot, because I thought he was just a regular Hot Wheels car. He's going to go below Stepper, just because I'm trying to not put my sentimental value into these. But I literally can't put him anywhere else. I just love that toy so much. So many good memories with G2 Sea Spray. Okay, here we go. A little bit more modern stuff. Kingdom Cyclonus is really great. The problem with mine is that he is yellowed. I'm not going to take him down off the shelf right now because he's behind Galvatron. But on the bits on his arms, his legs, and his hands, on like his hips, they're that gray plastic, and it has yellowed to the point where he looks like he is wearing like assless chaps. It is a shame that, you know, they have to look the way that they do and they yellow the way that they did. I really want the toy looking one, the darker purple with the decals. I think that would look great on the Unicron Shrine too, but for right now, he's gonna go in... I'm gonna put him in between Betatron and Skylynx. I don't know, he's... something about him, because of the yellowing, has caused him to, like, fall down in tears for me. Kingdom Galvatron. Probably gonna go bottom of the high shelf, honestly. The transformation is fun. The battle damage, I could take or leave. Such a fun toy. Like, a really great figure to have, honestly. Core Class Soundwave. I don't really care about, like, the little cat ears that his tape recorder mode has. He's been sitting on my desk for, like, the past 3 months. And he's just a lot of fun to flip back and forth. But I'm not gonna lie, I think he's the weakest of the newer versions of the Legends class Decepticons that we've been getting. Well, no, Megatron exists too. He's in the lowest 2 of the more recent Legends Decepticons that we've been getting. I think I'm gonna put him underneath... Well, no, Power Master Prime is broken, so he should go above him, because I can still mess with Soundwave. Kingdom Tigatron has also began to yellow. I know he has that yellowing texture to him and, like, that color fade, but, like, mine has actually started yellowing. I like how he has the gut gun that Cheetor should have had. This being a bigger version of it helps a little bit, but it's still that same toy. I'm just gonna put him here. Like, he's fun and everything, but he's just not really my cup of tea. Kingdom Tracks, we all know where that goes. Bottom shelf. It's such a shame. All of the characters that I thought were cool and all of my favorites are either exclusives that are really hard to get or just trash. Prowl and Barricade, both exclusives. Earthrise Thrust, impossible to get, now cost hundreds of dollars. Cosmos, who thankfully I did end up getting, ridiculously hard to find. And now with the Comic-Con announcements, things like Nacelle, who his whole identity is having prototype colors and thrust wings, is not going to be in Earthrise mode. He's going to be a Siege Tetrajet, which would be fine if they had thrust wings for the Tetrajet mode. And now, from the box art that we saw at Comic-Con of Armada Thrust is getting the Earthrise Seeker mold, which should have gone to Nacelle, and Armada Thrust should have been a retool of, I think, Kingdom Cyclonus, because if they can turn Metal Hawk out of that mold, then surely they could do Armada Thrust, and Armada Thrust could have, like, his weird little engine hands. You literally just flip the hands around on Cyclonus, and he has them. So I don't understand why they didn't do it. I have always liked tracks. I did a video way back when of the deluxe tracks, and I really like the Reveal the Shield one. And we were getting this update one, and it looks great, but it's such a shit toy. Doesn't tab together, doesn't stand up, floopy all over the place, just trash. Volcanicus, I have not completed yet. I put him here just because I have all of them except Snarl. I really like this toy. The thing that I don't like about it are the proportions and the way that he has to have, like, gorilla arms. And I think when Monstructor comes out, he's going to be a bit better than Volcanicus. And each of the individual bots are fun in their own way. I think I'm going to put him below Power Master Prime, just because he's not as imposing or as intimidating or as cleaned up as I was hoping that he would be. And he doesn't have real feet. I kind of wish he did. Armada Starscream. I really like this toy. Armada Starscream is one of my favorite characters. I know a lot of people who are bitching and complaining that he has the wing sword, but it's not one of his wings. But you can pop one of the wings off the mushroom peg and give him his wing sword. So, like, you can still have that silhouette. And the Star Saber is really great. I gave mine to Hotshot because that's who it belongs with. But the transformation's fun. The vehicle mode is fun. I'm really loving these updated Armada characters. He does have a couple issues in transformation, like the clearance isn't all there. In the display pictures, his sword was red. Mine's unpainted. I don't know if that's a common thing or if it's just mine. I don't know if anybody else's came with a red sword. But, yeah, he's gonna go above Twitch. Blitzwing! Leader Blitzwing. What to say about you? Leader Blitzwing is fun in robot mode. My problem is I don't like the transformation into either mode. Throw away the missile hand gimmick thing, and the tank mode looks great. Jet mode, I was never too big of a hater on because I just knew you were going to have compromises, but it probably could have tidied up a whole lot better than it actually does. And I really like the way that he looks in robot mode, but like the transformation and that plane mode, I'm gonna have to bump him down to low shelf. Like, he's fun to mess with, fun to pose, but like there's things that you think should click in and don't, and just sometimes it can be a pain. It's not bad, just not great either. This one is a hard one because I really wanted to like Crankcase. I have him alongside with Spinister and Flywheels, so I'm starting to build my scavengers, and trying to find a Croc on an aftermarket is unbelievably hard. I don't know what it is, but I just can't stand this mold. I like the skid molds just fine. I have that twice, and I should like this one, but I just don't. Like, every time I touch it, I feel like it's like a regret purchase, like something that I had to buy in order to have my scavengers. And I really hate this mold. It really turned me off of Medics because I was super excited for that one. And now that they're doing Armada characters, I have no doubt that they're going to turn this mold into Red Alert, which is going to suck to own it twice. He's better than Trax because he actually holds together. But like, I pick him up and I have like the feeling of like, this is a regret purchase. Like, I only have you for one reason and one reason alone, and if I didn't have to have you, I wouldn't. I don't know what it is about them. I just don't like it. I don't like the feeling of it. I don't like transforming it. I don't like the way the chest looks. I think the grill gun is stupid, so I keep my grill gun attached to his chest, but then it feels like it's not supposed to be there, and it doesn't tab in well, and it sticks out too far, and it's just, yeah. Alita 1 from Legacy was the beginning of apparently the new Fembot mold. It works really well for Minerva. I think it works okay for Strong Arm. I know that's kind of controversial to say. I kind of wish Strong Arm got her own thing because she's bulkier than she is, or at least more of a retool to make her look bigger. But Alita 1 is fun. I think I like this Alita 1 more than the Power of the Primes. This is like Alita 1, and the one from Power of the Primes is like Alita Prime. And then we just don't talk about the Netflix one. She's fine. I think I like her more than Betatron. I just really like that Datsun mold. Laser Optimus Prime. Proportions are wonky. I like the axe and the sword. I actually took the handle and folded it upwards a little bit so he can hold the axe like a buckler shield. And I think he looks really great with the buckler shield. Great update to Laser Prime. I think I like him more than RID Scourge. I didn't like the translucent colors on Scourge. Probably, I'm gonna put him below Galvatron. Hotshot. Hotshot was my Bumblebee. I grew up with Armada. Hotshot was like my kid appeal character when I was a kid. The toy is flawed, and I hate that I have to buy it again just to get Jolt. But the transformation is fun. I like how he does the Axel Zuka. I feel like his arms, like instead of putting the car kibble on the back of his legs, they really should have put it on his arms because, number one, that would have been more accurate to the show, and number two, it would have bulked out his arms a bit more just because they kind of look a bit thin. Like, I get why they didn't for engineering's sake, but you know. I think I feel very middle of the road about Hotshot. He hasn't done anything wrong. He hasn't done anything spectacular either. So just right dead center in the middle of the road. G-Axis. Everybody was making this like their toy of the year last year. Everybody was hyped over this mold. And I don't know if it's my copy or if it's just the way that I feel about it, but I thought he was like fine, I guess. Like, it wasn't mind-blowing. I think everybody was hyped up over this toy because it was a design that we had never seen done justice before, which is great. I'm glad that that design now has a physical version, but like, this was not Toy of the Year material. Mine didn't tab in fully. I think the vehicle mode is neat. Looks like a hot dog, but it's neat. You could easily get a Voyager broadside out of it. I'm gonna go low shelf. I think I like Blitzwing more than G-Axis. I know that's probably gonna be like a little bit of a controversial take, but you know, it is what it is, I guess. Legacy Leo Prime. I really like Leo Prime. I really like his design, and the fact that we now have Primal and Leo, and you can do like the handshake scene from that one OVA that they were both in. All we need now is a big convoy, or Mammoth Prime, or whatever you want to call him. We need an updated version of that, and then I could just have all three of my Beast Primes together on the shelf. A lot of people complain about the kibble, but like, that's just who he is. That's the design of the character. High shelf for me. Yeah, right about there seems right, I think, in between Cybertron Hotshot and Ironhide. Legacy Menasor. What to say about Menasor? I like the tricks that the arms do, how they split in half. I like that if you get Motormaster, you essentially have Menasor, just without the bulk. I don't like the way that the cars are on the back of the legs, because that makes them redundant. Like, I'm looking at mine right now, and I don't have breakdown, so one of his legs is still a bit hollow, but like, you would never notice unless you moved Battletrap, who's standing in front of him. I essentially have a completed Menasor just without a back calf. And I really wish that the toy versions found some way to flip the legs around, or maybe reverse the knee joints so that you had the cars in front like the actual toy. But it is what it is, I guess. I think he's easily the best combiner that we've had, and I really want to see more combiners done like this. Like, I want to see Hotspot. I want to see Onslaught done like this. I don't know how you do Silverbolt like this, but Hotspot and Onslaught done this way, I think would be really, really cool. I don't mess with him a whole lot, because once he's Menasor, like, the individual bots don't really come apart, unless you're Dead End, because I really like Dead End. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put him above Alita 1. Very middle of the road, but once he's combined, you ignore the rest of it, and you can have him without completing the team, which is fun. Override. It's a shame that her Velocitron release, at least in my area, didn't sell too well. Like, she clogged shelves for a little bit, which is strange. I thought she would like sell out like that, and Holler would be the one clogging up shelves, but no, it was her. So glad to have another Cybertron release to go alongside my Galaxy Prime and the Cybertron Hotshot. I think she's probably the best Unicron Trilogy Redux that I own, so she is gonna go probably right there, right above Starscream. Blue Streak, no, Silver Streak. The buzzworthy Diaclone version of the Datsun mold is my favorite. He was on my top 10 list last year. I am going to put him above Smokescreen. Yes, Smokescreen looks prettier, but Blue Streak just feels better in hand. And I just prefer the dark, almost navy blue look. Skids. As much as I like Skids, Skids is very forgettable as a character, unless you're reading IDW. He's fine. He's fun. I prefer Crosscut or Burnout to Skids. All love, respect in the world to Skids, but I think he's going to be the top of the lowest. Legacy Skullgrin, I am a huge apologist for. I really like Legacy Skullgrin. There's so many options that you can do in robot mode. You can like fold his hands away and give him like sword hands, sword gun hands, kind of. I get why people don't like him, totally valid, but like, I really thought he was gonna suck, and he doesn't. My only complaint would be the little rubber horns on the side of his head. Like, I get why they're rubber, but mine are just kind of malformed a little bit. Still not great. Just because I like him doesn't mean he's great, but I think he's better than Tigatron, so we're gonna put him right there. Legacy Tarn, like, what do I even need to say about Legacy Tarn? He's great. Where do I want to put him, though? He definitely goes in the high shelf. Now I'm looking at him posed in... I have him posed in Starscream's throne from the Coronation set. And, like, man, he looks so good. I think I'm going to have to put him bottom of the top shelf. Kakaryu, I think, is still better. Although it doesn't transform as much, I just like Kakaryu more than Tarn. But I think for what it is, as a retail version of Tarn, this is fantastic. Superposable, no hollow bits, really great transformation. Kind of sucks that they're doing Bludgeon out of that Tarn mold, because it kind of takes away from Tarn's identity a little bit, and it kind of robs him of his uniqueness. But yeah, Tarn is great. Oh, another Holy Grail. Initially, I just wanted to get the Make Toys version of our Optimus Prime, like the regular red and blue. But I bought this off of _Zeus on Twitter. This was a convention exclusive. I have a sucker for blue primes. I don't know what it is. I just think blue looks better. And like, ooh, that toy is so much fun. It's like a third-party version of the classics Optimus Prime, done in a really fantastic way. I think I'm gonna have to put him right underneath Ricochet just because that toy is so much fun. He is missing his axes, so like he doesn't have the smokestacks, which is totally fine, but I really love this toy. Speaking of primes, Earthrise Prime. One thing that bothers me about Earthrise Prime is that he never feels proportional. His arms always feel too small, and his legs always feel too long. The transformation is really fun. This is specifically the Netflix version. It has like the darker G2 color scheme. I could do without the accessories, and just his proportions never quite feel right. I think I'm going to put him above Alita 1 because I like him as a default G1 Optimus Prime, but just he never looks quite right. Buzzworthy Origins Bumblebee. I shat all over this toy when it first came out. I hated the way the robot mode looked. I thought the UFO mode was neat. I really hated the way the robot mode looks, and now that I have it in person, it doesn't bother me at all. Like, I'm looking at it right now, and it barely looks like a mess. Like, it still looks good. That's the thing, is it still looks great. Like, you're gonna have some compromises trying to get this UFO vehicle mode into that G1 Bumblebee look. And I think it does a great job. Transformation is really fun. It's really intuitive, the way that everything works and the way that he kind of flattens out into a pancake. I'm gonna put him below, below Galvatron, but above Laser Prime. Jazz, on the other hand, is very simple to transform. He's not as complex as B. I like his accessories more. I don't know, I feel like I like Bumblebee more, and this Jazz was a step down. Hopefully we're going to get a Wheeljack. Just, this Jazz felt like a step down from Bumblebee. He's not bad. Better than Prime. Not as impactful as Menasor. Power of the Primes Optimus Prime. I love this toy. It was one of the first leader class that I bought. This Optimus Prime is fantastic. However, I don't have him as Optimus Prime. I have him as Orion Pax. The fact that we got a Sunbow Orion Pax that looks really good in robot mode. Like, yeah, he's got a little bit of a backpack, but like, everything about this Orion Pax is great. Like, I don't need the 86 Cup one. Like, this is great. I really like this. And it's optional to have the trailer with it as Optimus Prime, which I think also looks great. I prefer Orion Pax. So this Optimus Prime going on a high shelf, I think right about there seems fair. I think that's a pretty fair assessment to put him there. Jet Viacon. I love this Jet Viacon. I think the Viacon toy is severely underrated. I like the jet mode, even though it's literally just a Cadillac with wings. He looks great on a flight stand, and like the robot mode is really awesome. I've named mine Steve, as all Viacons are named Steve. Do I like him? See, here's the thing. The thing that's killing me with this tier list is I have to take into consideration not only how I feel about the toy, but how often I take the toy down and fiddle with it and mess with it, because that's my ratings, and that's how I judge a good Transformer, is how often do I want to take it off the shelf and mess with it. The problem here is Stakeout is my favorite Micromaster, just because he's quick and easy to transform, and I like his character. And then I have Ironhide, who's not as quick and easy to transform, but is still fun to mess with and fun to pose. I think the Jet Viacon falls right smack in the middle of that, because the transformation is really fun, really simple. You get a great looking robot mode, but he is kind of hampered by his wings a little bit, because I think the kibble kind of gets in the way. I know the regular Viacon doesn't have that problem, just because it's a car. But yeah, I think I'm gonna leave him right there for now. Reveal the Shield Perceptor. This was a toy that I wanted for a long time. I thought the Studio Series 86 one was fine. It looked good, but I just had a couple issues with mine that kind of bumped it down by a few pegs. The Reveal the Shield one is nice. I'm glad that I've experienced the mold, but he's still not super great. I think I'm gonna put him at the bottom of the low shelf right now. Yeah, he's fine, just very forgettable. Galactic Man Shockwave. I think the Siege Shockwave mold is great. I really like his piercing red eye and everything. I think I'm gonna put him underneath Skylinks, but above Soundwave. Like, he's fun to mess with. I like all his extra bits. I like his glider. Just, it's fine. He's alright. Galaxy Upgrade Optimus Prime is the best version of this Ultra Magnus mold that we have, I think, until Nova Prime comes out. I knew instantly that they were going to do Nova Prime out of this. Like, it seemed like the very obvious choice. I did say that Override was the best Unicron trilogy modern figure that they have done that I've experienced. But he's better than Starscream, so I'm going to have to put him right in between. Sinister is fantastic. Instantly on the high shelf above Hotshot. He's just... Actually... Yeah, that makes more sense. He's just super fun to mess with. That transformation is still really, really fun to do. The way that he gets the 2 cockpits for his legs and then just has a single one in helicopter mode. He's a fantastic updated target master. Studio Series 86 Gnaw. I like him. He stays in Sharkticon mode, but the problem with his Sharkticon mode is on mine, his joints don't hold him up. He constantly rocks forward and just falls flat on his face. I had to put scotch tape in his mushroom pegs, in his robot mode arms, so that his shark mode could stand. That immediately bumps him down a peg just because he should be able to stand in both modes, and mine just couldn't. I don't display mine in robot mode. I only display him in Sharkticon mode. Sharkticon mode is great, but robot mode is just super forgettable. I think I'm going to have to put him at the... Well, I'm going to put him top of the low shelf. I shouldn't have had to do those updates to mine that I did. He was immediately super floppy out of the box. Yeah, I think that's exactly where he goes. Studio Series 86 Grimlock. This was a hard choice in picking him up because I thought to myself, I said, do I really want to go down this road of buying leader class Dinobots over the course of however many years? And he was the last one on the shelf. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do it because I have never owned a good set of Dinobots. I've always owned a couple at a time or one at a time, but I've never owned the full set, and all the third-party ones are just overly super expensive, and I decided to dive in on the leader Dinobots. He's not my favorite out of them, but he is really fun to transform, really fun to pose. That wheelie is trash. I don't know where I want to put him though. I'll put him above Menasor. I like him a lot. I just think he is not the weakest of the 3 that I have so far, but he is middle of the road. Studio Series Hot Rod is fantastic. The transformation of Hot Rod that I've always wanted as a kid was when his shoulders flipped sides. Something about that instantly struck a nerve with me, and I'm like, that's the transformation that I want. And I was always bummed out that no Hot Rod ever did that until this one. He's got the built-in goggles, he's got the blast effects, he's got the matrix, he's got the guns, and yeah, you're paying a little bit more for him, but at the same time, he's just really fun, and he is definitely worth it. He's gonna go in high shelf. I think he's going to go above Hot Shot, but the fact that they got my favorite Hot Rod transformation into a physical toy is wonderful. Studio Series 86 Scourge. I love the sweeps. I have 2 of this mold because I got a second one before I found out that the sweeps were being made. I never picked up a sweep. I think I've only seen 2 ever. So I have 2 of Scourge, one in vehicle mode and one in robot mode. And then I have the Titans Return Scourges as his backup sweeps. He's fun. His little head transformation that you use to like pop the head out is strange. Like I said, I'm a sucker for Transformers with open palms. It also really works for Senator Ratbat. That seems to be a thing now, is Senator Ratbat always has to be a pre-tool or a retool of Scourge, which is weird, but it is what it is. I like him a lot, but he's really nothing to write home about. I think I'm gonna put him above Greaser. You know what? We'll move everything around when we're done, but we're gonna leave it the way it is for now. Studio Series 86 Sludge. I really, really, really wanted to like. My Studio Series Sludge has a lot of tolerance issues. He flops around a lot. The Brontosaurus mode is great. Like, I have no problem with him in dinosaur mode, but it's robot mode where he really starts to like crumble under his own weight, and it really is a shame. I'm gonna put him low shelf. Bottom shelf, I'm noticing, is reserved for toys that I actively hate, or figures that I just am against entirely. Something on my inside just tells me that no, this was a bad decision. Sludge was not a bad decision, but he's just the weakest of all of them that I have so far. On the other side of the spectrum, we have Slug. Favorite Dinobot, favorite dinosaur, favorite of the leader Dinobots so far. I don't have Snarl, but everything I hear, Snarl is the best of them. But for me, Slug will always be the best of the Dinobots. I like him more than G2 Prime. I like him more than Galvatron. I think I'm gonna bump him up. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put him right there, because I don't mess with him nearly as much as I mess with stuff like the Beacon, but he's just so fun to transform when I do get around to it. He has the best tolerance out of my 3 Dinobots, and him being my favorite is just icing on the cake. Studio Series Soundwave. I really like Studio Series Soundwave in robot mode, just his arms are way too short. He should have had longer arms. I haven't transformed him in a while. If you get Ravage, which he has in his chest right now, Ravage comes with a little missile that goes on his regular gun. And he's fun. He feels stumpier than he probably should be. Gonna put him above Volcanicus. The reason I was putting Volcanicus below Prime is because I really like Power Master Prime. Having a complete one has been a dream of mine for a long time, but he is broken. Like, I can't transform him at all. So I think that automatically bumps him down to the bottom. I do like Core Soundwave more than this Soundwave, though. Battle Trap. Battle Trap was the only Rise of the Beast figure that I really wanted other than Wheeljack. And he is like my favorite looking design out of the Terracons. I love his alt mode, a tow truck. We don't get a whole lot of those. We get a couple here and there, but he's just really fun to mess with. A lot of people have problems with his transformation, and I did the first few times too. He's another case of, I think the proportions are a little off. I think his legs are too long, and I think his arms are too short. He looks great pose though. He's on my Unicron shrine right now. The way his face is made, he has like the knight grill in the movie, but the way that they've done it is they've given him light piping above that. So he has regular eyes on the toy, and it looks like he just has anime blushes. But he's fun. I really like him. I like him more than Galvatron. I like him more than Ectotron. I like him more than Twitch. I think I like him more than Galaxy Prime, but not as much as I like Override. So I think that's a pretty good spot for him right there. Cheetor, same thing. Transformation on Cheetor is really fun. A lot of people say that he looks like his Transmetal 2 design, and I agree. I really like his weapon that he comes with. Right now, mine is posed like the Darth Maul pose from Clone Wars. I don't know if I like the colors on him. I think the colors should have been a little bit more vibrant, because he seems a little bit too brown. I'm going to put him in between G2, Prime, and Origins B, because I feel like that's a pretty decent place for him to go. The Last Knight Scorn. I love Scorn. I've always loved Scorn's design since Age of Extinction. Wasn't a fan of the deluxe just because it felt way too small and didn't do much for me, but like this Voyager Scorn, fantastic. I think the line of the Last Knight main line, very underrated. Barricade was really good. Voyager Megatron is spectacular. Hound is great. Prime is the best version of that design of Optimus Prime that we've ever had. Voyager Scorn is spectacular. Nitro Zeus also, and Cogman. The whole main line for that movie was fantastic, and I really wish we had gotten more out of it. I don't think Scorn is better than Spinister, excuse me. But I think I like him more than Unicron, just with how awesome his Dino Mode is, how fun his transformation is. His tail whip actually poses, so it has like a natural curve to it. Titan's Return, Alpha Trion, best Alpha Trion we have, hands down. The new one that came out in the 2-pack with Orion Pax, I guess it's fine. It doesn't really fit Alpha Trion as much as it fits Ratbat, and I like the barbarian looking Alpha Trion. Like, I like Beefcake Alpha Trion. I think he's really fun to mess with, really fun to transform. I really like both of his modes. Both of his modes turned out so well that it baffles me that Broadside turned out so bad.
Know your fucking place, trash.
I'm going to put him below the Datsuns. Titan's Return still had the, not weird quality, it was good for the time, but going back, it does feel a little strange compared to the stuff that we have today. Breakaway or Getaway. It's a shame that he couldn't get his old mold. He's just Chrome Dome with a new splash of paint and a new head. And Chrome Dome was really good as Chrome Dome, but it just doesn't work as Breakaway. I think I'm going to put him above Expanse. Like, he was just disappointing. He doesn't have that silhouette, and Getaway is like one of my favorites. Both the comics and the G1 toy are like some of my favorite designs, period. Scourge. I do think Scourge is the weakest of the Headmasters, at least that I own. I don't own Highbrow anymore. Not only is his head loose, the panels on his legs like to fall off, and he doesn't have a flight stand port where it should be. The 3mm ports that hold him on a flight stand are either too much on one side or too much on the other. They're not directly in the middle. So like, I've had to slide one like in between a gap around his arms, and I have another one just sitting on a base that's higher up because I can't get him to stay on a flight stand. I think he's weaker than Expanse. He's weaker than the Parallax armor, but he doesn't have as many quality issues as Sludge. I think Scourge is a great way to build a deluxe sweep. It's just not fantastic. Topspin. Topspin is my favorite of the jump starters, and I'm just really happy to have both him and Twin Twist. Transformation on these guys is fantastic. It's super fun, very intuitive. I think I'm gonna have to put them above Spinister. Yeah, and Topspin is my favorite of the two, but they're essentially the same toy, so they're gonna go back to back. Apparently Twin Twist is like stupid expensive right now. Like, he's very hard to come by. He was one of those late wave ones. I picked him over Misfire, and I don't regret it at all. I just really wish that I had found another Misfire, because Misfire is one of my favorite designs. and they feel good. Like I mentioned with Alpha Trion that like Titan's Return kind of felt different to what we have today, but like with both the jump starters, they both feel solid. They both feel good in your hand. Clampdown is I would say he's probably my favorite of the Sideswipe mold if Gigawatt didn't exist. I love his paint job. I love his paint scheme. Where would I put the Sideswipe mold if it's not Gigawatt? For how simple yet perfect that mold is, I think I'm gonna put it right here in between Battle Trap and Override. Cosmos, good old Velocitron Cosmos, the cryptid that I thought never existed. He's great. I constantly take him off my shelf. I constantly transform him. He's really fun. I love his UFO mode, which is where he stayed for a lot of the time. And I don't display my Transformers in vehicle mode unless they're like the sweeps. So like I really have to like the alt mode in order for that to happen. I guess a lot of people had problems with his arms. Like he had really floppy pinned arms. Mine are super stable. I shake him around and he barely, like he doesn't even budge. Plus the flag accessory is just perfect. I think I gotta put him above Tarn. No disrespect to Tarn, I just think Cosmos is the better toy. I think I like him more than Kakaryu too. Honestly, I think that's where he goes. Cosmos is a top shelf bot, and I'm super excited to have deluxe mini bots because I've always thought deluxe mini bots would look way better than Legends. They would look more in scale. They wouldn't be teeny tiny. They're perfect. All right, here come the two white whales for a lot of people. Velocitron Crasher. Crasher is great. I had the Netflix Mirage, so like I have had experience with this toy before, but the Earth mode version of that is, I think, better in a few other ways. A lot of people don't believe that Wave 2 of Velocitron happened, but it did. Crasher is really, really fun, and I'm sorry for everybody who like missed out, just because she's a lot of fun. She looks great. No Decepticon logo though, which is fine because she's a GoBot, but like I'm pretty sure it says Decepticon Crasher on her name. I don't think I like her as much as Starscream. Shadow Strip. Also another white whale from the same wave as Crasher. Really fun. I love his color scheme. Like, my god, this color scheme. The black and gold work perfectly with the metallic blue. It just looks so goddamn good. I don't know if he has a G2 Decepticon logo. I don't think he does, actually, now that I'm looking at him. I'm gonna hate myself for doing it, but I think I'm gonna end up being one of those maniacs that collects the G2 Stunticons. I love Shadow Strip so much, and I'm kind of bummed that he's the only one that got his own original name, whereas the other ones are just called G2 Dead End or G2 Breakdown, or like he's called Shadow Strip. Like the other ones should have a name that works with their old versions, so you can tell who it is. Like this isn't Drag Strip, this is Shadow Strip. He probably has to go with Menasor, I think. Well, no, because he can stand alone by himself. Like, he's not on my Menasor. I think I'm going to put him right below Laser Prime. Well, no, because I like him more than I like Crasher. I'm going to put him right next to Crasher. There we go. I think that works pretty well. And finally, my very last toy that I have, at least in this part 1, because half my collection is still in storage. This is Zeta Toys Flyfire, the Masterpiece Firefly. This is not the really crappy little Legends version. This is like a very good Masterpiece aerial bot. I understand why Zeta Toys gets a lot of hate, but I really liked their Firefly. And for a long time, I wanted to complete their aerial bots, but I came to my senses and realized that Firefly, excuse me, is one of my favorite Transformer characters, period. I've always liked his plane mode. I like the way that he looks compared to the rest of his team. He's up there with Sea Spray for me. So I think that he is gonna go right next to Sea Spray. And that's my list. Obviously, we only have 2 real bottom shelf ones here. And I knew I was gonna kind of have a hodgepodge of middle and high shelf just because I try to only collect things that I like. I don't go out of my way to just collect stuff that I think is bad after Crankcase anyways. Like, this was the one time that I did that and I regret it to this day. This is part 1 of my collection. At some point I'm gonna go through and rotate my whole collection, take the stuff out of storage, bring it down, and bring some of this stuff back up and put it back in storage. I've already started doing that. I actually did some of that yesterday, so there's some bots that I didn't put on here who are now in my collection. But yeah, this is my list of my collection. I thought this would be a whole lot of fun because I always see people doing a tier list of what's the best toy from this line, or what's the best line in Transformers of all time, or what's the best movie toy. So I wanted to do something that was like all inclusive, really represents me as a collector, and I think it turned out really well. So that's about it from me, guys. I'll just try to upload whenever. because my life is so chaotic at the moment that I just very rarely have time to do this sort of thing. So maybe I'll upload another video this year, maybe I won't. Maybe the next video I upload will be my best spots of 2023. Who knows at this point? Like, subscribe, do whatever it is you guys do, and I will see you all in the next one. And until then, bye-bye.